we've added functions, we've subtracted functions, so the next thing in our step would be to multiply our functions. So in this case, we're going to take f times g of x, which just means we're going to take f of x, and we are going to multiply that times whatever our g of x is. So I'm going to take my f of x, which is this x plus 2. Again, I like to keep things in parentheses so we can see everything that we're going to do with that function. And I'm going to multiply that by my g of x, and my g of x is just this 3x. So what this in fact means is I'm going to take and distribute, and I'm going to take x plus 2 times the 3x. So I'm going to distribute this 3x and multiply it by the x, which makes 3x squared. And I'm going to take the 3x times the 2, and I'm going to get 6x. So whenever I take f times g of x, I end up with 3x squared plus 6x. Let's do a little bit more complex one. So if I want to again take f times g of x, I take my f of x, whatever my f of x is, and I multiply it by whatever my g of x is. So I'm going to grab my f of x. My f of x is going to be the 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. All of this is my f of x. And I'm going to multiply it by whatever my g of x is. My g of x is this x minus 4. So at this point we need to use our distributive property, and we'll have to distribute each one of the terms in the first function times each one of the terms in the second function. So let me start with my 3x squared. If I take 3x squared times x, I end up with 3x to the third. And then I take my 3x squared and I multiply it by that negative 4. I end up with negative 12x squared. Now I've distributed my first term, so I moved my second term. And I'm going to take this x squared, or this 2x, and multiply it by this x. So I get a negative, notice it's a negative 2x. So negative 2x times x is a negative 2x squared. And then I take the negative x, again that's a negative 2x, and I multiply it by this negative 4x. And negative times negative gives me a positive, so that is a positive 8x. Okay, I have done my first two terms, and now I must distribute my third term. My third term is just a plus 1. So I take my plus 1 times x, and that's just a plus x. And then I take my plus 1 times a negative 4, and so that would be a minus 4. Now that I've distributed everything, I'm ready to combine my like terms. So I start at the beginning, and I look, and I see, well, I've got my 3x cubed, and it is the only term that's got an x cubed on it. And then I could look at my next two terms, and this is a negative x squared, negative 12x squared minus 2x squared. They both have x squareds on them, so they are like terms. And they are both negative, so I'm adding. So this is going to be a minus 14x squared. And then I look at my next two terms, and this is a positive 8x and a plus x. So that would be a positive 9x. They're the same sign, so again I add. And then I just have my minus 4 in the end. And that would be how I would multiply my f of x times my g of x, and then combine my like terms.